Okay, so we'll get started. Thanks again for joining me. We're going to do 60 minutes of yoga followed by 15 minutes of journaling. And the theme for today is August reset, or just a reset for the month. It's a new week, it's a new month, kind of crazy times we're living in. And if you, like me, feel like maybe you could just use a little bit of a reset button, let this next 60 or 75 minutes be that for you. So start just by finding yourself in a comfortable seated position. Just give yourself permission to kind of arrive in the present moment, letting go of any outside distractions. Notice any lingering impressions from the day, any thought patterns that are starting to occur as you sit still. And just let them go. Being here in this breath, in this moment. Notice how you're breathing. And notice how you're sitting. And just try to sit up tall and breathe at ease, not forcing the breath. So think of this class as just an opportunity or a gesture of resetting, whatever it is that you feel maybe needs a reset, whether it's your health or maybe your habits or a relationship with yourself or with someone else. Keep that in mind throughout this class. It's not so much about pushing our body or stretching or strengthening our body. It's just about making a gesture towards ourselves that we're kind of resetting. Okay. So with that in mind, we're going to start with a really fun breathing exercise called Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. It's been done for like thousands of years, which I also like this idea of, we're doing something that so many people have practiced before us and many people will practice after us as well. So as you practice it, I invite you to feel a little bit more connected to like our global and historical yoga community, people who practice this breathing exercise and the postures we're about to do are around the world and at different points in time, at different points in different lives. So alternate nostril breathing is kind of as it sounds. The idea is you're going to alternate which nostril you're breathing out of. I'll show you real quick and then we'll do it together. But the idea is you'll sit in a comfortable seated position. You're going to exhale completely. You're going to start by plugging your right nostril. You'll inhale through your left nostril, plug both nostrils, hold, and then release the right nostril. Exhale through your right nostril, hold. Inhale through the right nostril, plug and hold, exhale through the left nostril, and continue in and out. I'll walk us through the first few times and then we'll just do it for a minute or so in silence. Again, I invite you to feel connected with a global community of yogis across different generations and different phases of our lives. So sitting in a comfortable position, you'll try to keep your shoulders relaxed. Place your right thumb on your right nostril, exhale completely, and begin. Inhale through your left nostril for 1, 2, 3, 4. Plug both nostrils and hold. Release your right nostril and see if you can exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through your right nostril for 1, 2, 3, 4. Plug both nostrils. Release your left nostril and exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling through the left side. Plug and hold. Exhaling through the right side, slowly. Inhale through your right nostril. Plug and hold. Exhale through your left nostril. Just continue this for a minute. Notice if one nostril is more dominant than the other. That's really normal. The traditional belief is that when your left nostril is more dominant, when that's the one that's easier to breathe into, you're in a more relaxed yin lunar state. And when your right nostril is more dominant, you're in a more energetic yang or yang solar state. And we're trying to even those out. So not too energetic, but not too sleepy either. Let's do one more complete round. And whenever you're ready, you'll just return your arms down by your sides. If you need to roll out your shoulders or anything like that, sometimes my shoulder tenses up when I do it for a while. Okay. So we'll start just by gently warming up the body. Place your right hand close to your right hip, and as you inhale, lift your left arm up overhead, maybe looking up towards your palm. Right off the bat, just a note that I'm not mirroring you, so it might look like I have my left arm up when I actually have my right arm up. You are welcome to follow my body or follow my words. I tend to do the right side of postures first, if that helps, but again, either way for you. Just want to feel a nice stretch along the whole left side of the body. Drop the shoulders, lift the chest, gently pull your stomach in, root down through both hips. Okay, good. You're gonna sweep your left arm down and across your body. And this time, place your left hand by your left hip, and as you inhale, lift your right arm up overhead, looking up. Right away, notice if this side feels different. We are not symmetrical. We're not butterflies. We're perfectly imperfect. So this side feels a lot different for me. It might for you, or it might not. Just something to notice. Yoga gives us tools to notice incongruencies, to fix them, but it also gives us big tools to be okay with the things that like we can't fix, right? That's okay. Good, as you're ready, sweep your right arm down, and this time walk both hands forward, push your hands into the floor, bring your shoulders away from your ears, and drop your head. Gentle stretch through the neck and spine, gentle compression to the throat and the front of the body, nothing too intense. Just warming up. Good. Walk your hands back close to your body. Slowly roll up. This time, place your hands behind you. Lift your chest up. Lift your nose and chin up to the ceiling. Open your chest. Drop your shoulders. And if it feels good, you can even relax your head all the way back for a stretch through the throat and chest. Gentle compression to the neck and back. Good. Slowly come back to center. There's no rush. Bring your right hand behind you, close behind you, like a second spine. As you inhale, lift your left arm up overhead. Exhale, place your left hand on your right knee. Inhale, stretch up, pull your belly in. Exhale, look over your right shoulder and twist. You can keep your right hand behind you. You can also take it off the floor and see if you can catch your left thigh with your right hand for a bind. Notice if your weight is starting to sink into one hip, evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones. Inhale, stretch up tall. Exhale, pull your belly in, look over your right shoulder and twist. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, look over your right shoulder, twist. If you have your right hand on your left thigh in a bind, remove the bind first, place your right hand on the floor behind you, and then carefully unwind. Take your time, there's no rush. Let's do the other side. Place your left arm close behind you at the base of your butt, like a second spine. Inhale, lift your right arm up overhead. Stretching up, exhale, place your right hand on your left knee. Inhale, stretch up, pull your belly in, root down through your hips. Exhale, look over your left shoulder and twist. You can keep your left hand behind you or try to catch your right thigh with your left hand. Drop your shoulders, lift your chest, evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones, maybe a little bit more weight to the right. Inhale, stretch up, pull your belly in, eyes open. Exhale, look over your left shoulder and twist. Good. If you have your hand in a bind, carefully release the bind, place your left hand on the floor behind you, and slowly unwind back to center. Take a moment to sit still. So sometimes one of the things that I need to reset is this idea that like I'm not doing enough or that there's not enough time in the day. So get this, our backs move in 6 different directions. Our spines move right, left, backward, forward, twisting to both sides. And we just did all 6 of those. So like it's already an accomplished day for you, right? You've already moved your spine in 6 directions when a lot of people just do this all day. So make sure that you're feeling accomplished already, that you're feeling good about yourself. Notice how you're breathing and breathe slow. Good. Next, we'll come into cat-cow. So I'll show you from the side. We're going to come into tabletop position. And if you have sensitive knees, feel free to roll up your mat or place a blanket underneath your knees or your ankles, whatever feels good for you. This shouldn't be punishing to the knees. So we're going to start in a neutral position. And for cat pose, as you exhale, pull your belly in. Round your spine up to the ceiling, drop your head, and press your hips forward like an angry cat rounding its back. As you inhale, drop your belly down like a cow's udder, so drop your belly down, lift your chin up, stick your butt up, look up towards the ceiling, back bend, cow pose. Inhale, pull your belly in, push the floor away from you, create space between the shoulder blades, crown to floor, hips towards the ribs, navel towards the ceiling, cat pose. Inhale, drop your belly button down, lift your chest up, spread your chest apart, squeeze shoulder blades together, root down through all 28 knuckles, not just the wrists. Exhale, pull your belly in, round your spine, cat pose, meow. Inhale, drop your belly down, lift your chest up, cow pose, moo. Good, coming back to neutral, and we're gonna play around with the direction of our hands for a nice wrist stretch. So this time, you're gonna have your fingers pointing away from one another. So wrists pointing in, fingers pointing out. And same thing, we're gonna do 3 rounds of cat and cow. Feel free to do them at your own rate, whatever feels good for you. You're just waking up the back still at the beginning of class, creating space between the vertebrae and cat, and then gentle compression to the vertebrae and cow. Compressing the abdominal wall in cat. Stretching the abdominal wall in cow. Tucking your tailbone under in cat. Lifting your hips up towards the ceiling in cow. Good. Come back to a neutral position. And this is where it starts to get fun. This time, we're gonna flip our palms so that your fingers point towards your knees and your wrists are pointing forward. Okay. If you need to bring a little bit more weight back into your toes or bend the elbows a bit, I totally understand. Let's do it. So exhale, cow pose, or cat pose, meow, rounding the spine. Inhale, cow pose, dropping your belly down. Exhale, pull your belly in, try to draw your navel up towards the ceiling, spread the shoulders wide. Inhale, drop your belly button low to the floor, lift your chest up, look up, chin away from the chest, feel your throat stretch. One more time. Exhale, round your spine, squeeze your ribs together, press your hips and ribs closer together. And cow pose, let your ribs relax down, shoulders together, chin lifted. Good, coming back into neutral. Okay, here's the most fun one. You're gonna flip your palms so that your palms face the ceiling and your knuckles touch the floor. And if this one is like a little intense for you, it's a little intense for me too. Here we go, so good for a wrist stretch. So we'll do 3 rounds of cat-cow. Take your time. So just doing this little wrist stretch and cat-cow like for a minute or 2 every day is so good for wrist flexibility and mobility, especially in a world where like, gosh, we are on our laptops a lot, we are on our phones a lot. Sometimes the wrists get a little bit stiff. When you're ready, come back into neutral. And this time, if you can, see if you can make fists. And at first, your hands are barely going to be fists. Eventually, you're gonna ball up your hands and then just do one more cat-cow. So try to squeeze the knuckles in. Again, if you just do this a little bit every day, create that muscle memory, that mobility, eventually you can make full wrists. The first time I did this, I was like, no way. Okay, good. Come back to a neutral position, sit back on your heels and just do whatever feels good for your wrists. Can be a little bit silly, some of this stuff, whee, whatever feels good for your wrists. Okay, so we stretch the wrists and now we're gonna do a toe stretch. So coming back into tabletop, open your knees. Here, I'll show you from the front. Open your knees, bring your feet, toes, heels together, spread your toes wide, and then start to sit back onto your heels. So from the side, sorry, this light is like kind of crazy, but eventually you want to remove your pinky toes out. So all 10 toes are stretching, eventually hips on heels and hands at heart center. If you have to come forward, that's totally fine. Again, this is a really good stretch for the toes and for the ankles, but you're never forcing your body. Do try to squeeze your heels together, sit up tall and breathe. Again, if this feels intense for you, it feels intense for me too, but just a little bit every day goes a long way, right? Just a little bit. We'll hold here for 3 more breaths. Relax your jaw and shoulders. Sometimes when we feel intensity in one part of our body or in one part of our life, we like hold tension in another part. See if you can only feel it in your feet. Let the rest of your body be relaxed. Okay, good. Come back to tabletop, and this is the fun part, especially if you have downstairs neighbors that you don't like, just tap out your toes a couple times. Tapping out the toes. Okay, good. Next, we're gonna come into dragon pose. So staying in tabletop, you're gonna start to bring your right foot forward in between your hands. You can stay here, or as you're ready, lift up, placing your hands on your knee and gently go forward. So you wanna feel this stretch in the hip. And again, if you have tight knees, please feel free to roll up your mat or place a towel under your knee. You wanna feel this in your hip, but you're not punishing your knee at any point. Keep a proud chest. Notice if the hips are opening, try to press the left hip forward, peel the right hip back, and notice if your right knee is going to the right or left of your ankle. Try to get the knee stacking on top of the ankle and lunge a little deeper. Let's take 3 more breaths here, just stretching through the hip. Okay, place your hands back on the floor, and this time sink your hip back down towards your heel. You can flex your right toes if you want and drop your head. Maybe head to knee, maybe not. Maybe stretching the arms forward, maybe just keeping them nice and still. Relax the shoulders. Okay, good. Lift your head. Place your hands on the floor. Carefully lift your hips back up, placing the hands forward. Bring your right knee back into tabletop. And we'll bring the left foot forward in between the hands. You can stay here, or as you're ready, start to lift up. Maybe press the right hip forward this time, peel the left hip back again, noticing if the knee wants to go way to the right or the left of the ankle. In dragon pose, the knee can go a little beyond the ankle. It's okay, but you don't want it to go right or left. Feel the stretch in the hip. Again, noticing how this side might feel different, how it might feel the same. Just breathing for 3 breaths. When you're ready, place your hands back on the floor, and this time sink your hips back towards your right heel. You can flex your left toes if you want for that Achilles stretch, or just keep the foot relaxed and carefully lower down. Notice any passing thoughts. Make sure you're being nice to yourself. Just sit with your breath. Or just practice sitting with your breath. Okay. Lift your head. Place your hands on the floor. Come forward, lifting your hips up. Bring your left knee back down. This time, open your knees wide. Bring your feet together for a tadpole pose or wide legs child's pose. So you're going to sink your hips down and reach your arms forward. Sinking the hips down, reaching the arms forward. If you have shoulder injuries and you need to bring the arms back into fetal pose, that's fine too. Otherwise, arms stretching forward, sink the hips down. Picture your back growing a little longer. Let your chest fall to the floor. Let your hips sink back, melting the hips down. You're gonna do what's called twisting tadpole. So start to bring your hands to the right side of your mat, maybe bending the left arm and placing the left hand on top of the right hand. So you just want a lateral stretch to the left side of your body. So arms to the right, maybe hips a little to the left, just a nice stretch. Okay, walk your hands back towards center. Take a moment to breathe. And this time, walk your hands to the left side of your mat, maybe placing right hand on top of left hand, maybe not. Head gently resting in between the arms, hips a little to the right. Okay, walk your hands back towards center. Bring your hands back underneath your shoulders, coming up into tabletop. And we're just gonna take a second here to move your hips any way that feels good, maybe making circles with your hips, clockwise, counterclockwise. Okay, good. So back into tadpole or wide-legged child's pose. So open your knees, sink your hips down. This time, place your left hand in front of you. As you inhale, lift your right arm up overhead, look up. As you exhale, we're gonna thread the needle. So bring right arm through left arm and left leg. You can have your right ear on the floor, looking to the left for a nice shoulder stretch. And if thread the needle does not work for your body, you're welcome to watch me for a second. You can come up into a seated position, sweep your right arm across your chest, bend your left arm up, so you're still getting that shoulder stretch without the the pressure on the shoulder. If thread the needle is working for you and you want to take it a step further, you can lift your left arm up overhead and then drape your left arm across your back, maybe grabbing the right thigh with the left hand for a bind. And then just hold still and breathe. Good. If you have your left hand on your right thigh in a bind, start by releasing your left arm up to the ceiling and then back down to the floor. Unthreading the needle as you inhale, unthread your needle, reach your right arm up, looking up towards the ceiling. Exhale, place your right hand back down on the floor. Good. Inhale, lift your left arm up, looking up towards your left thumb. Exhale, thread the needle on this side, bringing left arm through right arm and right leg, left ear on the floor. You can have your right arm in front of you. You can also lift your right arm up overhead and drape your arm across your back, maybe catching your left thigh with your right hand for a bind. And again, if this does not work on this side, you can simply sweep your left arm over your chest, bend your right arm up, and you still get that shoulder stretch in a seated position without the pressure to your shoulder. Okay, good. If you have your right arm in a bind, start by lifting the right arm up to the ceiling, releasing the bind, and then place your right hand on the floor, maybe by your head, and then everybody together unthreading the needle. Inhale, lift your left arm up overhead. Exhale, place your left hand back down. Good. Coming onto our stomachs now for Sphinx pose. So Sphinx pose, think of your favorite Sphinx. It can be in Egypt. It can be at the Luxor in Las Vegas. It can be in book 4 of Harry Potter, whatever works for you. You want your elbows under your shoulders, arms straight. So it's a gentle back bend here. Shouldn't be too much. If it's too much pressure on your shoulders, you can walk your hands a little bit forward. We're gonna hold here for a full minute, just breathing in and out through the nose. If you have a stomach condition where you don't want to be on your stomach, you're welcome to place pillows underneath your hips and thighs, or if you're pregnant, and then your stomach can hang down without putting pressure on the stomach. So I love Sphinxes, right? Because they give riddles. And in many ways, yoga is kind of a riddle, but it's kind of not. Yoga gives us the answers so that we can ask the questions. So like the answer or the command or whatever you want to call it is like Sphinx pose, right? We have our hands on the floor, shoulders down away from the ears, chest up, nice little back bend. But the questions we get to ask, like, why does this feel so good? Or why is this so much harder than the last time I practiced it? Or like, why am I having trouble, keeping my mind with my body? Whatever those questions are, just notice as they arise. So many questions to ask. Especially when we make this, a habit or a lifelong practice, yoga, we get to, ask new questions with the same postures as our bodies change, as our lives and our minds change. So it's never boring, right? Sometimes we plateau. Sometimes a posture feels the same for a while, but if you pay attention, right, stuff starts to change, shift little by little. Good. If you'd like, in the last few moments, you can come into seal pose, which is reaching your arms a little bit more forward and straightening the arms. And this is just a deeper back bend. Yeah, exactly. And if you think about seals, it kind of makes sense, right? Okay. Let's do one more slow breath. Good. And as you're ready, we're going to carefully lower down into belly savasana. You can have your elbows bent out to the sides, hands in, head on the floor. You can also look right or left, and you can also have your arms down by your sides. And if lying on your stomach does not work for you, please feel free to lie on your back or on your side. If you are lying on your stomach and you choose to look to one side, I'll cue you halfway through, and you'll switch your head to the other side so you get the stretch on both sides of the neck. Feel what parts of your body are touching the floor. And let the floor hold you up. Make it a symbolic gesture. Just allow yourself to be held. Sometimes we feel a little bit like untethered. And lying down or just acknowledging gravity is a great way to acknowledge like we're always being held. Always tethered, but not weighed down. Let your breath be easy. And see if you can relax one more inch of your body. Maybe clearing out one more corner of your mind, one more cobweb. Just allowing yourself to be here in this moment. If you're looking to the right and you'd like to switch which way you're looking, gently lift your head up and then tilt your head to the other side. So just switching which way you're looking. So both sides of the neck get a stretch. Send deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. Okay, if you're looking to one side, lift your head, bring your head and neck to a neutral position, place your hands on the floor, and push yourself up. Good. Come to sit on your stomach, or sorry, sit on your butt, not your stomach. We were just on our stomach. You're gonna come to sit and we're gonna start in what's called shoelace pose. So let's see, you're gonna start with both legs out in front of you. See if you can lift your right leg over your left leg. So right knee on top of left knee, just like you're casually crossing your legs. And I know for some of us that might feel like this. That's fine too. If this is okay, see if you can bend your left leg. So now one knee on top of the other, both legs lock. And if this is too much, remember, you can have your legs straight out in front of you. No problem. Okay, just fine. Making your way into a comfortable position. Evenly distribute your body weight on both sit bones. You're gonna take your arms out to the side, maybe bring your hands back a little bit, opening your chest. And then start to bring your arms together. You're gonna cross right arm under left arm and give yourself a big hug, maybe actively hugging yourself. So if your right knee is on top of your left knee, then you want your right elbow under your left elbow. Drop your shoulders, lift your chin. One of my favorite things about yoga is we can make it whatever it is. So maybe you're just grabbing your shoulders, or maybe you're giving yourself a hug. And if you'd like that symbolic gesture, really take a moment to thank yourself for practicing yoga. Good for you. You can stay here hugging shoulders. Can also do what's called seated eagle. So for eagle pose, Garasana, you're gonna wrap your palms together. So thumbs towards your face, pinkies away from the face. If you do 26 and 2 yoga with me, you've done this before, just in a balancing position rather than seated. Good. And for those of you that do practice 26 and 2 yoga with me, you know that in that style of yoga, we try to pull the elbows down to decompress the shoulders. But for this today, we're gonna do something different. It's actually more common in yoga, and we're gonna try to lift the elbows up and the hands up. Nice little stretch here. You can stay here, you can play around with lifting the arms up or down. You can also fold forward, so you start to get a stretch to the thigh. And if folding forward feels really good, but the eagle arms don't, release the eagle arms, give yourself a hug or just have your arms down. Everybody drop your head, and we're gonna hold here for a minute. Relax through your jaw. Soften your shoulders. Notice any tension that you're carrying in your lower body and try to let it go. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. Take your time, carefully come up. You can use your hands, or for a challenge, try to keep hands in eagle. Good. Release the arms out to the side and then drop your hands down. Okay, we're gonna do the other side of the legs, and if you wanna make it fun, you can showgirl, woo, or whatever feels good for you, but opposite knee on top. And again, this side might feel different or the same. You can have one leg straight out in front of you, or you can have both knees bent. Good, take a moment just to position, pull sit bones on the floor, sitting up tall. Okay, reach your arms out to the side, stretching out. And then bring the arms in, cross left elbow under right elbow, give yourself a hug. So if your left knee is on top, you want your left elbow on bottom. Maybe just rock back and forth, side to side. Noticing how this side already might feel a little different or not. Okay, you can stay here, giving yourself a hug. You can also try the eagle arms on this side, palms together, thumbs towards your nose, pinkies away from your nose. You can play around with pulling the elbows down or lifting the elbows up. You can stay here playing around with eagle or hugs, or you can also start to fold forward and shoelace. Never forcing the body, just holding here for a minute. Try to keep your hips down. Notice if you're like way leaning forward and your butt's way off the floor, try to get your hips back down a little bit. Drop your head. Notice what you're thinking and see if you can let it go with your exhale breath. Just give yourself permission to keep your mind with your body in this time and in this space. If what you're doing doesn't feel good, switch it up. Never force. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. And we're going to carefully come back up. Take your time. If your hands are in eagle, bring them out to the side, opening the chest. And then release your hands back down to the floor. Good. Dragonfly. We're going to open the legs out wide. Play around for a second here with pointing your toes or flexing your feet. Feel the difference between pointing and flexing in your calves and your Achilles and your quadriceps. It's interesting, right? Simply by pointing your toe, you feel a different stretch all the way to your hip than if you flex your toe, right? So one small part of the body can affect the rest. Okay. Let your feet be at a neutral position and just start to walk forward. A little bit goes a long way here. You can have your hands on the floor, eventually elbows down to the floor. Just drop your head and we'll hold here for a minute. Draw the shoulders back away from the ears so the shoulders aren't tensing up. Try to relax through the inner thighs, outer thighs, and the space between the thighs. Take a slow inhale through your nose, drawing the air in. Slow exhale through the nose, releasing the air out. Carefully walk your hands back in to your body, and then we're going to turn around on our back for puddle pose or savasana. So there's many styles of yoga. A lot of them, like 26-2 yoga or vinyasa or ashtanga, tend to be more like active, right? They're solar, they can be intense. Our heart rate gets up a lot. Some people call them like yang or yang energy yoga classes. And what we're doing is a little bit more yin, like yin yoga or restorative yoga. And one of my favorite things about like yin or restorative or slower moving yoga classes is that they have different names for the same postures. So like in 26-2 yoga, we'd call this savasana, and it would be very specific, right? You'll hear me say, bring your heels together, let your toes fall open, arms down, close to your sides, palms face the ceiling, eyes open, mouth closed, breathing normal. It's very specific. But in yin, we call it like puddle pose, right? And you just let yourself be like a puddle. Same thing, like in yin, we call it tadpole pose rather than like in vinyasa, you would call it child's pose, right? So I think sometimes the yin names like tadpole or puddle are a little bit more fun than corpse pose, right? Or child's pose. Okay, so just let your body be still. Let the floor hold you up. It's all semantics, but it's kind of fun to think about. So much of our life is semantics. We're saying the same thing and we don't even realize it. So many of the people that we think we disagree with, maybe we have a little bit more in common. Maybe that's something to reset. Rather than being so sure that you're right, just remembering that whether you're talking about puddle pose or savasana, you're kind of talking about the same thing, right? We all have a need to feel heard, to feel loved and seen. And yoga is a really good place where you can do that for yourself. So rather than seeking that outside validation, you're just validating yourself just by showing up. So just take a moment here, really acknowledging all of your hard work. The hardest part of class is showing up. You did that with flying colors. Good for you. Now we're just slowing down. See if you can drop into your breath just a little bit more. Tuning out the outside world. Next posture is called figure 4, and it's similar to, it's like a seated version of what we'd call pigeon pose in vinyasa or swan pose in yin. So figure 4, start by bending your legs up. So feet on the floor, let your knees rest together for a second. And you might notice this feels really pleasant. It helps to tilt the lower back to the floor. If puddle pose or savasana is ever really uncomfortable for your lower back, know that you can always sit like this with your knees resting together and your legs bent, or you can also place like a blanket under your lower back. Just something to know. Okay, so for figure 4, keep your left foot on the floor. Start to lift your right foot off the floor. Bring your right knee to the right and your right foot to the left. Let your left ankle shin, your right ankle shin area rest on your left thigh. So if you look down the center line of your body, your legs should be making a 4 shape. You can stay here with your left foot on the floor and your arms down by your side if you're already feeling this in your hip. Otherwise, start to lift your left foot off the floor, maybe drawing your thighs in closer to your belly. You're welcome to have your hands down by your sides, out to the sides. I like to do some version of using my hands to pull down more. So for me, I like to slide my right hand between my right and left leg, left arm on the outside, and then interlock your fingers under your left thigh. You can also take your right knee and right hand, left knee and left hand and pull down if you want a little extra stretch. Whatever feels good for you. And we're gonna hold here for 3 minutes. So this is the more yin portion of class. In which we hold a little longer. And at some point that can start to feel a little bit intense, right? That's okay. Right away, notice how you're breathing. Notice any sensations, especially with longer held postures. A little bit goes a long way. When we stretch a part of our body for like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, we do stretch the muscle. But when we hold a posture for like 3 minutes, we start to work into connective tissue. So even though, you know, it might feel like, oh, I'm not going as deep as I would if I held for 20 seconds, you might actually feel it more intensely the next day. So try to do about like 70% of what you think you should be doing, which is also a nice life lesson. I think sometimes we think, I have to do everything. And yin kind of reminds us, actually, you're probably doing enough already. Actually, maybe ease up a little bit and be nice to yourself, right? Be generous. About 30 seconds left. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. If you have your hands on your legs in any way, start by releasing the hands. If your left foot is off the floor, slowly return your left foot to the floor. And then take your time, carefully lift your right leg up, bringing both feet back to the floor. Let your knees rest together for a moment. And then bring your legs down, arms down, puddle pose. You can move your hips or shoulders, anything that feels good. And then just try to find a little bit of stillness. And in this stillness, see if you can really tune into any sensations in the body, especially like in the right hip area, right leg. When we hold postures for a long time, we often stretch one part of the body, but also compress one part of the body. Sometimes, changing the blood circulation patterns in our body. So when we release out a part of the body that might have been a little bit low on blood, all of a sudden gets like a big rush of blood, which is really great, right? Natural irrigation of the body, good for circulation. Let's do the other side. So bending both legs up again, feet on the floor, knees resting together. This time, keep your right foot on the floor. Start to lift your left leg off the floor. Bring your left knee to the left foot to the right, and place your left ankle shin area on your right thigh. So if you look down, your leg should be making a 4 shape. You can stay here with your right foot on the floor. You can also start to lift your right leg up. You can have your hands down by your sides, out to the sides, or again, finding some variation of placing your hands on your knees, your hamstrings, your foot to pull down a little bit more slowly over time, bringing the thighs closer to the stomach, but never forcing your body. Again, just holding here for 3 minutes. Notice if one shoulder or hip is coming off the floor. Imagine that your shoulders and your hips are like 4 corners of a rectangle. What would you need to do to get all 4 corners on the floor? So softening through the neck spine, the shoulders, releasing through the upper back, releasing through the middle back and lower back. Softening your hips. Notice any fidgets happening, maybe in your fingers or toes. Just try to be still, just noticing. Remember that stillness is a practice, just like yoga, just like meditation, just like, law or medicine, right? The same way that we practice law, we practice yoga. It's never perfect. We're just doing our best with the information we have available. And it's changing over time. I think that is something that there's a bit of a misconception that yoga poses have been the same for millennia. But actually, there's a rich history of yoga, and postures and ideas about postures have changed, right? The same way that our ideas of medicine or law has changed. Same thing with yoga, which is pretty cool to kind of study. About a minute left. See if you can drop in a little bit more, tuning out outside noise, tuning into what's going on the inside. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. If you have your hands on your knees or thighs or anyway, start by releasing those. If your right foot is lifted off the floor, slowly, carefully bring your right foot down to the floor. And then slowly lifting your left leg up, placing your left foot back down, knees together for a moment. Take your time, no rush. And then slowly returning to petal pose and breathing in and out through your nose. We'll seal our physical posture with a spine twist and then a breathing exercise. Bring your arms out to the side. You can also cactus your arms like goalposts. Bend your legs back up, knees, feet together, and just bring your knees to the right side of your mat. Left knee on top of right knee, left foot on top of right foot. Left shoulder on the floor, right shoulder on the floor. You can have your head on the floor looking up towards the ceiling, or bring your left ear towards the mat for a full spine twist. Just take 3 breaths here. If your left ear is on your towel in a full neck twist, carefully start by rolling your head back to center. And then take your time slowly. You can even use your hands if it helps. Bring your knees back up towards the ceiling, 2 hips on the floor, 2 feet on the floor.
And we'll do the other side. Bring your knees to the left this time. Right knee on top of left knee, right foot on top of left foot. You can have your hands out to the side or cactus. You can have your head just neutral on the floor, or draw your right ear towards your mat for a full neck spine twist. Right shoulder on the floor, left shoulder on the floor. Breathing normal. Taking 3 more slow breaths here, no rush. Okay, if your right ear is on your mat, carefully roll your head back to neutral. And then slowly, either with the help of your hands or not, roll your right hip back down to the floor, feet on the floor, knees on the floor. Bring your arms and legs back down for puddle pose. We'll finish with a breathing exercise, which will also serve as a transition into journaling. Again, you don't have to stay for journaling, and also you can stay and just like think about the prompts rather than writing them if that suits you better. Totally up to you. This breathing exercise is called I am, thank you. And the idea is as you inhale through your nose, you'll silently repeat to yourself, I am, and then think whatever comes to mind. It can be a noun, a verb, or an adjective. So it can be I am kind. It can be I am a daughter. It can be I am practicing yoga, whatever it is. And then as you exhale, you'll just say thank you. So again, on the inhale, I am, whatever comes to mind. And on the exhale, thank you. At first, these phrases or thoughts or ideas might come really quickly. And then at a certain point, you might go a little bit blank or repeat something. Notice if the words you're using to describe yourself ever become negative, and I would encourage you to practice positive self-talk. So using positive true statements about yourself. Okay. So I'll walk you through a few and then we'll do it together. So you inhale through your nose, feel your chest rise. I am loved. You exhale through your nose, feel your chest fall. Thank you. Inhale, I am a yogi. Exhale, thank you. Inhale, I am breathing. Exhale, thank you. We'll continue for 2 minutes. Let this be your last I am thank you. Take a moment to thank yourself for practicing yoga. Allow yourself to feel accomplished. Let your body feel reset. A little bit more at ease. Take your time, and when you're ready, if you'd like to journal, take your time just rolling off to one side and just carefully find yourself in a position that feels good for writing in a journal. Okay. So yoga is really great. Journaling is really great. I think something magical happens when we do yoga and journaling together. We open up our body a little bit, and then it's like a little bit easier to open up our hearts and our minds too. So if you've journaled before but not in congruency with yoga, this might feel a little bit different, or it might not, but it helps me. So I hope that helps you as well. Okay. So our first prompt is just like a bullet journal. And I just invite you to write down 10 things that you're grateful for about yourself, like 10 things that you're really proud of about yourself or that you feel good about. Maybe noticing any patterns you see in what you're writing, connected threads. When you're ready, take your time. Next, turn towards 10 things that you're externally grateful for. It can be like your family or your favorite flower or a beautiful sunrise, just 10 things outside of yourself that you're grateful for.
Looking back on the summer so far, what have been your highlights or joys? Looking back on the last few months. And looking back on the last few months of summer, what have been some of the low points or concerns that you've had? Looking forward to the month ahead, how would you like to feel at the end of August? How would you like to feel at the end of this month? Give yourself a moment to feel whatever it is that you'd like to feel. Try to internalize that and feel that in your heart, whether it's joy or peace or health. Take a moment to internalize that. There's so much that we can't control. I think this has always been true, The last couple of months have really highlighted that. When I looked at how would I like to feel, the first thing I wrote down was I'd like to feel certain. And then I was reminded, right, we can't always control the outside world, but we can control small things for ourselves. So with that in mind, holding in your heart how you would like to feel at the end of this month, what is one thing you can do, one goal you can set, or one achievable habit you can create that will foster that feeling in yourself, that will help you feel that way by the end of the month? Could be drinking more water, writing in a journal, doing a breathing exercise for 5 minutes, something achievable, right, that you can do for the rest of the month. Take a moment to reflect on the summer so far and note how you've grown. Give yourself permission to feel really proud of all of the ways that you've grown, maybe in some ways that you didn't think you would or you could. And just take some time maybe to look back over all of the things that you love about yourself, that you're grateful for in others, the joys and concerns of the last few months and how you've grown. And then allow yourself to visualize how you want to feel at the end of this month and what you can do in a world where we can't control much, what you can do to help yourself feel a little bit better, a little happier, healthier, wiser. We'll close with a few breaths just for the sake of time because we're a little bit over time already. We should do more of this. I love journaling. So whenever you're ready, we'll just close with 3 breaths in and out through the nose together as a community. You can sit in a comfortable position. And if you'd like, as a gesture towards yourself, you can place your hands at heart center in prayer. Acknowledge that you showed up for yoga, that you stayed for yoga, that you took some time to contemplate reflect, reset, and also look forward, right? There's no point in looking forward if we can't really reflect on, how we're going to get there. And there's no point in reflecting if we can't really look forward to how we're going to use those skills. So it's good to look back, reset, and then set forward. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. Slow inhale through your nose, feel yourself getting lighter. Slow exhale through your nose, a little more at ease. Slow inhale through your nose, practicing gratitude for all of the moments that led you to this one. Slow exhale through your nose, feeling a little bit more clarity of all the moments to come. Picture yourself in perfect, radiant health. Conceal your practice however you like. And it is lovely to be here with you. Sorry, we went a couple minutes over. I love you all. It is great to see you guys. If you have any questions or want more journal prompts, let me know. And I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.